Do you indeed think that there is life on other planets? Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you like to think about it for a second?
Oh, not really.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem definite about
Definitely.
it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was this?
definitely. At Lane Cove,
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
You all had the same figment. What did it look like?
It was standing up there, still,
Just suspended in space?
with colours coming out of it.
Flat or on its side?
It was around.
And you think this was sent from another planet, do you?
I really do. Well, where else would it come from?
My name's Danny Dyer, and I believe in UFOs. What is that?
Hello, so I've got a couple of books I'd like to talk about this week. First off, continuing from last week's video, is this book, Understanding Scottish Graveyards. I think I said that I was waiting on this to arrive, so it's here. But to just completely not talk about graveyards, well, they are graveyards, but I don't know how well you can see this photo. I'll try and add other pictures of this here. This is Midmar Kirkyard in Midmar, Aberdeenshire. It's about 20 minutes from where I live.
Midmar Kirk is one of the best known recumbent stone circles in Aberdeenshire, a possible Bronze Age site which is situated in the grounds of a modern church. Here the old and new religions fuse. Our ancient ancestors took considerable time, effort and skill to erect this recumbent stone circle. The ring is roughly 17.5 metres in diameter. All the stone is pink granite. Presently 8 stones make up an incomplete circle. At least 3 stones are missing. The circle is located on the main edge of a subtle terrace. The Hill of Fare is 0.5 miles away. The main focus is the 20-ton southwest orientated recumbent megalith. It is 4.5 metres long, 1.2 metres wide and 1 metre in height.
And yeah, it's a recumbent stone circle. And a lot of stone circles, there's probably like 4 or 5 just literally within like walking distance from me. A decent walk, but like 5-10 minutes drive away. So we'll get round to them eventually when we're allowed to do that and when there's not snow everywhere. Yeah, what was I talking about? Stone circles, yeah, so need to go around and have a look at all of those, and it just seems funny how they always tend to end up in, Evie, what are you doing? Get down. Evie, get down. Evie. Evie, get down. Evie, don't listen to me. You little shit. You little shit. Yeah, how they always seem to end up in churchyards, as you know, even though they're from different religions and older than Christianity. That Christianity tends to pick those places as areas to build churches and churchyards and things. Very interesting. What do you want? Yes, so that was the first thing, and while we're out there, I was reading up again about there's a Mesolithic calendar in a field, again, 5 minutes from where I live. We'll have to try and go and have a look. They discovered it from the air, just as like a weird kind of bit in a field, so they dug it up and that's what they found. I think that's 8,000 years before Common Era, so it's like 10,000 years old, potentially older, just from they maybe think just from around the time where we stopped being nomadic people and started actually putting down roots and farming, and you know, so they would have needed at that time to know the cycles, so they would have known when food was when you know, wild game and fish was to come back into the area and when to plant their crops and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, I'll play this little clip of that.
The site at Warren Field is extremely important in British archaeology, and in fact is one of the most important sites in northwestern archaeology overall. It represents a time when people became concerned with anticipating, measuring time, and in some ways represents the start of history. It's constructed of a series of pits in a general arc, currently 12 in number, and these seem to represent, in the way that they're structured, the phases of the moon. It goes from waxing to gibbous, full, and back to waning again in a general arc. The number of the pits suggests that they correspond to the lunar months over a year, 12 in total. However, because the lunar year does not correspond with the natural year, this sequence has to be calibrated annually in order to keep the seasons in line. And what the site does, it seems to align upon the midwinter sunrise, the solstice, in December, so that every year the calendar was effectively calibrated and started again and kept good time.
So yes, that's the Mesolithic calendar and potentially some stone circle stuff that I've thrown in there as well. And that was just from the first couple pages of this book, so when we get further into it, it's going to be a lot better, I'm sure. Well, a lot more stuff. But yes, that's the first book, Understanding Scottish Graveyards.
Is that someone there?
So this second book, and I'm not going to speak too much about it here because I'm going to eventually go a lot deeper into this subject, alien abduction and alien and yeah, people interacting with aliens in various ways. But there seems to be a really, like, 20 pages into this book, someone gets something shoved up their ass. There seems to be a real sort of like ass thing going on, and I'm not kink shaming anybody, aliens, humans, whatever, but there seems to be a lot of that, turning cows inside out and shoving stuff up people's asses. So yeah, communion. But this I don't know if it was like the first, no, because there was that Rigel, yeah, the very first publicized alien abduction.
My experiences started when I was very young. I can remember as far back as 6 years old, you know, being in my room, being, you know, just going to bed, and then aware that there were 6 light shafts coming down through the ceiling and would stand around my bed and start turning into a human-like looking form.
Yeah, is not this one, but I think this was one of the first books, or he was like a horror writer or a thriller writer, and he came out with this and saying it's all true. I think he wrote like 3 more after this. But there's a film with Christopher Walken, so we get to see something getting shoved up Christopher Walken's ass, which is also fantastic. And yeah, the film is nuts, absolutely nuts. But yes, we'll go into this deeper, alien abduction and stuff, in another video. But yeah, communion. I've been wanting that for ages, and yeah, just having to find one on eBay. Just like, you know, keep refreshing, saving the search until one came up that was not a ridiculous price. Finally, and this was what I wanted to do the video about really, but I don't know how far on we've got now with various clips and things. But this is The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. Kind of like the precursor to these books, like Communion, and, you know, books like, I've got loads of other books like Crop Circles and Bermuda Triangle and all this sorts of stuff. This guy kind of collated, I think this came out in like 1919 or something. This guy like collated all this information. He had like 48,000 separate notes or something in shoeboxes, and he would spend time in New York, and then I think he came to London, in libraries reading through old newspapers looking for what he calls the damned where's his quote? By the damned, I mean the data that science has excluded. So weird stories in newspapers. Mostly, a lot of the start of it's about like places where it was raining frogs or raining insects, or like strange gelatinous stuffs falling from the sky. Meteors with there's a whole chapter about meteors with like stuff in them when they've been found. But that's basically what all this is. I'm trying to find... It's really difficult to just dip into it. See Leisure Hours 3 for accounts of small frogs or toads said to have fallen from the sky. The writer says that all observers were mistaken, that frogs or toads must have fallen from trees or other places overhead. Tremendous number of little toads, 1 or 2 months old, that were seen to fall from a great thick cloud that appeared suddenly in the sky. That had been cloudless, August 1804, near Toulouse in France. So this guy's he's properly got sucked into this. But yeah, so sorry, this guy, Charles Fort, he, I don't know if he necessarily started the publication, but he had like a cult following and they called themselves the Forteans. And there's a magazine that still runs today called Fortean Times that that deals with all this sorts of stuff like ghosts and aliens and weird shit falling from the sky, like frogs for some reason. I don't know why there's a whole chapter on frogs. But yeah, there's something about fairy crosses here, a race of tiny beings, they crucified cockroaches, exquisite beings, but the cruelty of the exquisite. In their diminutive way, they are human beings, they crucified. The fairy crosses, we are told in Harper's Weekly, range in weight from 1/4 of an ounce to an ounce, but it is said in the Scientific American, number 79, that some of them are no larger than the head of a pin. So yeah, he's like, you can dip in and out of it kind of, but the whole chapter, although it references loads of different publications giving dates and volume numbers and everything, it's all one almost stream of consciousness. It's quite tough to kind of, and it's 1919, so it's like ye olde English. But this is great, and it's more of, like I say, it's more of a, you wouldn't sit and read the whole thing, it's more of like a flip through reference guide. But yeah, Charles Fort, this book, man, geez, I've been wanting this for ages as well, and this can be expensive. This is like a 90s reprint, but there's a cool like kind of 60s, 70s one. Looks like a proper like sci-fi book that I want to get, ideally. But yeah, this will do for just now.
Tonight on Fortean TV, we investigate the curse of the shrunken sailor. We meet the incredible floating nun. And we fall under the spell of a canine hypnotist.
Right, so I think that's everything. So we'll say cheers, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.